Hey everyone, this is Danny. I figured since the kids are doing their own podcast, their own video series, that I might as well hop on board and have mine as well. So many of you probably don't remember this. It was a long, long time ago, even before the kids were born. I had a video series on my terrible resolution webcam back then, and it was about weight loss, or rather, just kind of the issue of my weight, and it's always been something that I've wrestled with my whole life. Ups and downs, roller coaster, weight loss, and things like that. So here I am. I'm 38, and kind of in a rough patch, right? And I'm thinking that maybe if I share my story with some other people, that might help them feel like they're not alone, like there's other people that continue to struggle, but also continue to try to get back on track. Believe me, I'll be the first person to tell you that sometimes it feels like a big disappointment, right? It feels like I worked so hard and I was moving in the right direction for so long, just to have myself fall back into the same habits that put me in a tough spot to begin with. And unfortunately, over the past, 2 years or so, I've slowly but surely gotten into some pretty destructive habits with eating, with exercise. My last kind of sustained progress or movement in the right direction as far as wellness and physical health, physical fitness, probably, was in 2020. So while the world was going through that COVID pandemic, there were some things in an odd way that were easier with my issues around eating. For one thing, I was being very cautious, which a lot of people were, about going out of the house and eating out at restaurants. So for the first time and probably forever, I was eating at home every night of the week, right? And I wasn't snacking a lot because we weren't shopping a lot. And that actually had a positive impact on my eating habits and therefore on my weight. Between 2019, 2020, something like that, I lost well over 100 pounds. And, I probably got to the lowest weight I had ever been as an adult, which was, I think, somewhere in like the mid 270s, right? So for me, anywhere in the 200s is like doing incredibly well, right? I've reached that very few times as an adult. But like I said, I would say over the past 3 or so years, that number on the scale has gotten higher and higher. And I'm getting back to that place where I never wanted to return to again, right? I never want to, and this isn't a judgment thing. This isn't, me saying that anyone in this range is somehow less than or weak-willed or anything. I'm talking about myself personally. I never ever wanted to get back to that space where I was over 400 pounds, not necessarily because of the number on the scale, but because it was representative of my physical health overall, right? Borderline hypertension starts coming into play there. And it's just not as comfortable living in the world either. I mean, let's get real about this. Things like going to a play or going to a sporting event and having trouble sitting in the seats comfortably, that's not great. It's not a great feeling, right? You want to be present, you want to be there enjoying yourself, and a part of your brain is occupied with this thought of, geez, I can't even fit in this seat comfortably, or boy, I'm really sweaty because I'm having to carry this much weight around, right? So there's a lot of things that just aren't pleasant about it. Not to mention, it's very costly, right? Changing your the clothing that you wear, buying new wardrobes, it gets very expensive also. My family, I've put them through a lot with this whole weight issue. Not only have they had to pay for it, meaning my parents when I was younger, a child, and also now, my spouse Karen, has to financially support a lot of diets, a lot of gym memberships, and what have you. But also, I've put them through some pretty stressful times as well. Things like, gastric bypass surgery. I had that, before my son was born. So about 11 years ago, probably. And that was super scary, and that was irreversible. So now I'm forever changed as a result. Anatomically, my body works differently than others. And ultimately, that was a failed surgery, right? That kind of extreme effort did not work. It wasn't maintained. And, if I'm being honest with myself, the reason it wasn't maintained is because I never came to terms with those emotional eating issues, those impulsive eating issues. So, although I had this surgery, when I started feeling better, once I recovered, I started to test my body. I started to, sabotage myself, right? So it wasn't the things like the lean proteins and the vegetables they tell you to eat. It was more so those junk foods, right? The potato chips, the ice cream, the things that don't take up any space in your stomach, right? I was still able to eat those, but I couldn't eat that healthier food, which I wasn't eating anyway, right? So it wasn't the right choice for me. But if I'm being honest, I was just looking for kind of a miracle cure, right? Something that would literally take the control away from me, so I couldn't even have an option of making those poor food choices, which of course it doesn't do that, right? The surgery doesn't do that. And, I just really wasn't prepared for it. So anyway, I think I'm just saying these things primarily to remind myself of where I've been, right? I've had periods of, being quite unhealthy and feeling really bad about that and feeling uncomfortable in my own skin. I've also have had some sustained periods of success, right? And I feel like it's either one or the other, right? I'm very hard on myself. I just don't allow myself to be. It's either I'm doing well or I'm letting myself and others down, right? There's very little gray area in the middle. And that's probably part of my issue is that recently I have felt like I was on the negative side of that, right? I've been letting people down. I'll make some effort, right? I'll try to be healthy, but only to fall back to probably making some pretty unhealthy eating choices. And I'm kind of tired of it, right? I don't feel well physically. I don't feel great mentally. And, at some point, stop making excuses. You stop saying, well, I would only do better if, and you start to take more control. And there's a lot more work that I have to do, but I feel like acknowledging the issue, being honest with myself and others, and hopefully, like I said, in addition to people being able to relate to my situation, possibly with their own, but also, putting it out there. I want accountability partners. I want people to be invested. And time after time, you'll hear people say, well, you have to lose the weight for yourself first. You need to want to be healthy for yourself. But boy, it's hard, right? Whenever I think of the most sincere, genuine reasons why I want to be healthy, and again, I'll admit it, this might be part of the issue, but myself is typically pretty far down the list, right? When I think of the reasons why I want to be healthy, I think about my kids. I think about being around. I think about being able to enjoy retirement someday with Karen, right? These are the things I think about. I think about showing my parents that their adult son will be okay, right? These are the things I think about. And I think that there's a lot of truth to that. I don't think I should feel guilty about wanting to be well and wanting to be healthy for others also. We could go into this whole issue quite a bit, but that's kind of where I'm at. So I guess this is a way for me to put this out there. I'm very open about my weight struggles. I've never tried to hide behind it. And even if I did, what would be the point, right? It's out there. It's in the open. I'm not one of these people that can kind of trick myself into say, well, if I just wear these clothes, people won't notice. Or if I just stay inside all day and never go out and people never see me, that's not a possibility either, right? I want to be involved in the community. I want to take my kids places, and I am who I am, right? But at the same time, being very open, being very authentic about this, and sometimes just trying to be proactive, asking for help, right? And trying to maybe gain some fellowship, maybe get some people who want to discuss these issues in an open way, who want to be supportive for one another, might be a good thing. I don't know about some of you, but sometimes it's easy to get looped into this pattern of spending time with your kids, putting all your energy into them. It doesn't have to be kids. It can be certain hobbies. It can be your work, but you put all your energy into something and you start to lose part of your own identity, right? Your own support system, your own friends. And soon enough, you realize, gee whiz, I'm not acknowledging my own issues. But that's something that has to happen for a lot of different reasons. So anyway, this is kind of my first video, hopefully, of a series. Not only will it help me maintain records of my progress or of my issues as I continue to dig through them, but hopefully it will also be a way for you to kind of get to know me better too, and for you to kind of know what's going on in my life. I'll try to be as open as possible. If hearing about these things makes you uncomfortable, or if you're not in a space where you really want to hear these things, that's okay. I have absolutely no issue with that. If you are a person who, however, wants to hear about these things or is interested in my progress, then by all means, do whatever you can to support me, or I'll try to do vice versa, right? So if you need support, I'm more than willing to be a part of that process also. Lord knows, for a multitude of reasons, there's been a lot of things that I've done that oftentimes kind of have me feeling like I'm on my own. I know that's not the case. I know there's people out there that want to support me. So I'm not going to ramble on too much. But to end this video, I want to make some commitments, right? I want to promise to myself, first and foremost, that I'll do some things. So for the next week, until my next kind of video journal, I am going to weigh myself, okay? Not a specific number. I'm not going to go overboard and weigh myself every hour, every day even, but I'm going to weigh myself. I think I'm around 370 or 375. Now, that's not easy to say, right? And even saying it is tough. It makes me a little sad each time, because even though health isn't a number, that number is trending in the wrong direction, and it's not something that I'm thrilled with. So I'm going to weigh myself, and I'll also be very open and honest about the progress that I have on these videos so that I can track my progress over time. The next commitment that I'll make is that I'm going to walk at least 6,000 steps each day this week. Now, I know that's not the recommended 10,000. I know there's many of you that probably do a lot more. In fact, I even work with someone who is an avid runner, right? And she'll do that in the morning alone. She'll run that much or walk that much or more. But that's something that I want to commit to, mainly because it's consistent, right? It's not every once in a while. I'm not going to say, oh, I'll try to work out more. No, it's 6,000 steps each day, right? I feel like that's really doable. It's not extreme. I should be able to fit those in, either before work or after work, or potentially over a lunch break even. So that's it. So weigh myself, walk 6,000 steps a day. And the third thing might not seem like a big thing, but believe you me, it really is for me, is that I'm not going to drink any full sugar pop this week. Now, ideally, I would like to get to the place eventually where I don't drink any soft drinks, either diet or regular. But at this point, typically when I'm drinking a full sugar soda, it's when I'm having one of those impulsive moments, when I go to a gas station or when I go out to eat and I'm not in the right frame of mind. So those are the three things that I want to commit to this week, right? So I'm promising myself, and I'm also letting those of you out there know that that's my plan. Again, I realize this is kind of an open video. It's a topic that a lot of people don't talk about. But I'm a person who's lived with these issues my entire life, pretty much as far back as I can remember. My parents would even tell you this, that, around age 9, I started getting a lot heavier and heavier and heavier. And by the time I was an adolescent, I was already, morbidly obese, really heavy compared to my peers. And I wasn't going to live my entire life ashamed, right? And I don't feel like it's something that people should be ashamed about now. I feel like that's part of the issue, right, with the obesity epidemic in this country, is that there's a lot of shame that follows it, and we don't like to talk about that. So, anyways, I'm going to stop before I ramble on too far. This is just my first, and hopefully a series of videos. If you want to be part of this journey with me, by all means, let me know. You don't even have to put your name down, but I am going to be posting these to YouTube. So feel free to like, feel free to subscribe. That way you'll get an alert, I guess, each week when I post these videos with progress updates. I will have an actual number next week for my weight, and I'll be able to keep people kind of in the loop with different things. So anyway, I appreciate you for hopefully taking an interest or being supportive of this whole thing. I want to pat myself on the back for really trying to make an effort and moving in that right direction. And I hope everyone has a great week. And for those of you that watch, I'll see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.